What's going on, everybody? And welcome back to Johnny K Picks. And in this video, I'm going to be going over my full card picks and predictions, along with the bets that I'm looking for UFC Fight Night, Kansas City, Holloway versus Allen. Now, before we get started, as always, please hit that like button for me. Subscribe if you're new to the channel or if you just haven't subscribed yet. And don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos that pop up or the live streams that me and Cody do throughout the week. So, UFC 287 was last night, and it was a fun one. A lot of good stuff happened, a lot of finishes, a lot of crazy outcomes, and yeah, we'll go through it real quick, like I usually do. Overall, on the night, not the greatest with my picks. A lot of my upsets that I picked didn't really get it done. So I went 5-7, which isn't that good at all. And for my bets, I ended up winning 2 of 6 of my bets, and I ended up losing minus 2.13 units on the night. So that will end my 5 week in a row winning streak, unfortunately. But hey, this is a good card coming up for bets. I see a lot of money lines actually that I do like to, and I'm going to be betting on, but we will get through this real quick and let's go through what happened. All right, Sam Hughes versus Amorim. I was pretty high on Amorim, and I know a lot of people were as well, but Sam Hughes survived the first round. I'm actually kind of shocked that she did the way she did. There was two very clear rear naked chokes that were locked in, and she hand fought her way out of them. And then after that, Jacqueline had nothing in the second and third round. So unfortunately, very bad pick, very bad bets that I had on Jacqueline. I knew better, but I just, for whatever reason, I really thought Amorim was going to get that first round sub. But I know next time, let's not do that again. Steve Garcia versus Shylin. Pretty crazy fight actually. In the beginning, it was wild and crazy, like it usually is with a Steve Garcia fight. And then in the second round hit, Steve Garcia landed both those body shots right back to back in the same spot and just put down Shylin. So good win from Steve Garcia. Um, man, he's just one of those guys where he's kill or be killed fighters, and he almost got killed in his last couple fights, and I think he's gonna get killed in his next one, but we'll see who he fights. So Bahamondes versus Trey Ogden. Good fight from Bahamondes. He did what he needed to do in that fight. Didn't make any mistakes. He stayed at range, and Ogden just didn't look like he really wanted to be in there. Kind of like when he fought Jordan Levitt. So I didn't. Yeah, weird that Ogden didn't even try to go for any takedowns after the first couple rounds because he wasn't going to win the striking exchanges. So good win from Bahamondes. I want to see who he fights next. I'm really high on this kid. All right, Lupe Godinez versus Cynthia Calvillo. Very close fight. I think one judge gave Lupe a 30-27, which was outrageous, but Calvillo looked really good. It could have went either way. I picked Lupe to win, but man, Lupe didn't go for those takedowns again, and that's not good. I don't think I'm gonna be betting on Godinez. I didn't bet her this fight, but this just enhances my stance. I just can't bet on loopy money line. Overs all day though. Every over though, but no money lines. Joe Pfeiffer versus GM3. Pfeiffer is a monster. He was walking him down the whole round, and he just landed that one shot, and GM3 did not want to get up. He got hit. He stayed down, and he stayed down to the ref until the ref came over and was like, "Are you sure? Are you sure? You better get up." He's like, "Nope, I ain't getting up." And Piper's like, "Should I hit him? I don't even know if I should." And he hit him one more time, and then the ref stopped it. So it was pretty funny, but a good win from Piper. He's just a crazy guy. I'd be scared to fight this guy too. I had the fight to start round two. I thought GM3 could hold out at least till the second round, but maybe not. All right, here's another one. Luana versus Waterson. I thought Michelle won that fight. I know it was very close, and I'm not saying a robbery, but I thought she did enough to win that fight. I'm not for sure if someone gave Luana a crazy score like a 30-27 in this one, but very close fight. I thought Watterson did just enough to win, but um, it is what it is. And Kelvin Gastelum versus Chris Curtis, very fun fight as well. I would say it was close, but I do think Gastelum edged it out a bit. I thought Chris Curtis won the third round, and I do think a judge gave Kelvin a 30-27, and I don't believe that whatsoever. But hey, it was the right call. Kelvin still got the win, so I'm not really too mad about that one. But very fun fight. Kelvin looked pretty good, but he was getting touched up at the end there. So we'll see what happens next with him. A little shocker of the night: Christian Rodriguez versus Raul Rosas Jr. I was very high on Rosas Jr. to win, especially after Christian's weight cut issues. And Rosas looked like he was the one that gassed out after the first round. So it's one of those things where, um, yeah, Christian's tough. He's got good submission defense. He's going to have good cardio. Doesn't matter if he misses weight. And he's a tough guy. And Rosas Jr., this is his first loss. He's a young kid. He'll grow. But, he's gonna have to work on that cardio and stand up now because that's on notice. I thought he was gonna have the cardio to go 3 rounds. He didn't have the cardio to go 3 rounds. Next fight, Holland versus Ponzi. Very good fight. It looked a little dicey in the first round, but second round hit. Kevin Holland does what Kevin Holland does. He gets that knockout in the second round. I swear he gets a lot of his finishes in the second round. I should have bet that, because I think it was around plus 600. I kind of figured that was going to happen, but I didn't do it. But good win from Kevin Holland. He just has that power. It's like sneaky power once he lands, and it's crazy. Good win for him. I knew he was going to come in here serious, and whenever he's serious on the scales, he's not really talking too much. You know he's serious. Rob Font versus Adrian Yanez. I thought this was going to go to the decision. To be honest, I am shocked that Rob Font won this one in the first round the way he did. Yanez just looked like he didn't want to make this a long fight. Like, after maybe, like, a minute or 2, I think he's like, "Alright, I'm just gonna do what I usually do, is go in there, I take 1 and to give 2 and hope for a knockout." He did land a very good shot on Rob Font, but Adrian Yanez got clipped and he got dropped, and I've never seen that power from Rob Font, and Yanez is a tough dude, so good win from Rob Font. That was one of the, craziest things I've seen of the night, actually. um, yeah, I just did not think Rob Font was gonna get that knockout, especially in the first round. I had a bet for this one fight to go round 2, didn't hit clearly, so it's all good. Gilbert Burns versus Jorge. We kinda knew Gilbert Burns was gonna win this fight. He dominated the round 1 was close, but he still won that, but after that, it was over, so good win from Gilbert. Kind of a lackluster, co-main event, but Gilbert was just a better fighter. And this was another shocking event here. I picked Pereira to win this one, Izzy versus Pereira. Um, Izzy looked like he was hurt, but apparently he was playing the old rope a dope up against the cage, and he landed 2 amazing right hands and put down Pereira. And I was shocked when that happened. I thought it was going to be over after that because Izzy was guard put his guard up and was not giving back anything. And then all of a sudden, he just that freaking right hand, man. I've never seen that power since probably the first Whitaker fight when he dropped him from Izzy. So Izzy still has that power, it looks like. So it's been a while. But hey, he finally got that demon off his back and he finally beat Pereira. So good for him. Yes, Effie, if you're watching, I owe you a shoey bet, which will be done on Thursday. Son of a bitch, I have the shoe right here. Look at this. Shoe right here. Here it is. All right. Moving on. Very good card though, like I said. We'll go to my bets, like I said, real quick. More I'm inside the distance, a bad bet. I got 2 of these fight to start round 3. That was one of my winning bets. Kevin Holland and Rosas Jr. Rosas Jr. didn't get that one done. Another Amora in fight to start round 2. That was just a bad bet altogether. This one was another bad bet altogether. Yanez to start round 2. Izzy to start round 3 didn't happen. And then my other bet, this was my late addition bet, and luckily I did that at Saturday because if I didn't, I would have lost more than 2.13 units. So let's start a new winning streak this time. No big deal. It happens to the best of us. I had 5 in a row, so let's just try to make it 6 or 7. All right. We got UFC Kansas City right now. Let's see if there's any. No, I don't see any cancellations, so that's good. No, nothing crazy. So we'll go to the first fight here. It's going to be Jocelyn Edwards versus Lucy Pudilova. Sorry, I can't even say that. Edwards is 12 and 4, 27 years old, 5'8", with a 70-inch reach. And Lucy is 14 and 7, 28 years old, 5'8", with a 67 and a half inch reach. So Let's get to my notes here. So Edwards is a pretty good striker. She loves to use her kicks though, more so than her hands. She uses her kicks to stay at range. She does a lot of kicks up the middle, a lot of leg kicks. She has okay power. Her takedown defense isn't that great, but she's really strong in the clinch, so she's hard to get down. But once you get like the double leg or you have your arms connected, she'll go down fairly easily. But she's very strong upper body when she's in the clinch. She does slow down as the fight goes on, but in that one fight against Ramona, I think she took that on short notice, or one of these fights she did. So I can understand that one. She's kinda slowing down, but she still slows down a little bit. Lucy is a solid striker as well. She does have a little bit of pop in her hands. She can be low volume at times, and she does have some wrestling she can use, which may be a good idea in this fight for her. Her takedown defense is okay, but she won't have to worry about takedowns with Jocelyn. I mean, unless they're up in maybe like a clinch position and maybe Jocelyn like trips her or something. Other than that, Edwards is not gonna go for any wrestling, but this is a close fight to start the night off, and I kind of was going back and forth with this one, but I'm gonna go with the underdog with Edwards here. I like her kicks. I think she's gonna be able to keep Lucy at range with those, and maybe even give her fits early. Just trying to figure out how to get inside the distance to get to Edwards because Edwards will have a little bit of reach advantage on her, and maybe if Edwards slows down a little bit towards the later rounds, maybe Lucy can get those takedowns and, but that's asking a lot from her. I mean, Lucy's not awful, but, I think Edwards can get the job done on the feet. This may go to split decision, but, I do think Edwards will outstrike Lucy, and, Lucy's not gonna be able to get the takedowns until maybe later in the fight. So, with my pick, like I said, I'm gonna go with Edwards to win this one by a close decision, maybe even split decision. For any bets, though, Edwards is the underdog. She's about a plus 125 favorite. So if you're confident you want to roll the dice on that one, I'm gonna stay away from the money line, but I think that's a good value. I think this is a 50-50 fight. So if you can get underdog prices on either lady, I think that's a good bet and value. I love the overs though. So I'm going to be looking at the overs in this fight to start round three, over 2.5, fight goes the distance. Those kinds of bets for sure for this one. Next one, we got Gaston Bolanos versus Aaron Phillips. Bolanos, sorry. Bolanos is 6-3, 30 years old, 5'7", with a 70.5-inch reach, and Phillips is 12-4, 33 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach. So Gaston's gonna make his UFC debut with this fight. He's a solid striker. He's got good power in his hands. He definitely wants to keep this fight on the feet because he doesn't really have the greatest grappling and even takedown defense too. So, but he's very tough, very durable. Um, he's definitely the dream killer. Let's put it that way. I love that nickname. Phillips, solid striker as well, has got some power in his hands. He's tough and durable too. Likes to push forward. His takedown defense isn't that great either, but he's not going to have to worry about that. I think this fight's going to stand on the feet. But little red flag, his last fight was 2 years, 8 months ago against Jack Shore, and he got submitted. So it's been a while for him. He hasn't fought in almost 3 years. So this is just a weird fight altogether. And to be honest, are both guys really UFC level? Probably not. I don't think Phillips has won in the UFC yet. So I think he's fought maybe 2 fights or 3 fights in the UFC, but I'm gonna go with Gaston here. I'm not very confident, though. I just think the long layoff for Phillips is gonna play a part in this fight. I think Gaston has the power advantage, so I think if Phillips, like I said, he likes to push forward. If he pushes forward a little bit more, he's gonna get countered. I think he can get countered, and, I'm going with the guy that's just been a little bit more active. He just fought recently at in Bellator about 11 months ago. It got the knockout. Couple losses in Bellator. So, I mean, both these guys aren't the greatest fighters in the world, but I'm just going to go with Gaston here to win. I'm going to say by second round knockout. I think Aaron Phillips will look pretty decent in the first round. It might be close, but I think he might start to fade, and Gaston will land that counter and get that knockout in the second round. For any bets, I would stay away from money lines for this one unless you want to take a shot on the dog. Phillips plus 155 if you're confident enough. Maybe the unders, look at the unders if it's set at 2.5. I don't know if it'll be set at 1.5 or 2, 2.5. Fight doesn't go the distance. Maybe fight to end by knockout would be another play to look at. Both guys getting a knockout, but that's how I would maybe look at this fight. But more than likely, I'm going to stay away from this one. Next one, Bruna Brazil versus Denise Gomes. Bruna is 8-2-1, 29 years old, 5'6" with a 66-inch reach, and Denise is 6-2, 23 years old, 5'2" with a 63-inch reach. So this is going to be a very interesting fight. Bruna is making her UFC debut. She's a very good striker with good power. She has okay wrestling and okay grappling. Um, she she does it like she has good knockouts and she has good power, like I said. She knocked out her opponent in the Dana White Contender Series, so her striking is very, very good. Um, but and then Gomes, solid striker herself. I wouldn't say it's as technical as Bruna's striking, but still pretty good. She's got some power in her hands when she lands. She's very tough and very strong. She likes to push forward. She kind of likes to be the bully, if you want to say. Has good cardio and decent grappling. Her takedown defense, though, is not the greatest, so she can be taken down. Um, Bruna, like I said, she's more so a striker, but she does have some wrestling in her back pocket. But um, I'll say this, when I was breaking down this fight, and I just have this in my memory because it happened last night. Bruna is gonna be the better striker, maybe even the better overall fighter, but Gomes, I think, has that toughness, that grit, that and those intangibles that could potentially break Bruna later in this fight. Kinda like in the Sam Hughes Amorim fight, because I have that in my head right now. I'm not saying um, Gomes or I'm sorry, Bruna is like Amorim. I think she's a little bit more well-rounded and a little bit more battle tested, if you want to say. But Gomes is like Sam Hughes. I want to say she's got that's the kind of style she has, and she's really young. She's strong. She's durable. Has the cardio. But overall, though, with all that being said, I'm gonna say Bruna does win this one. I'm gonna go with the better overall fighter, which I do believe is Bruna. But I'm staying away from this one. I don't trust it 100%. Maybe it's because of the Sam Hughes fight last night, but I'm gonna say Bruno wins this one by decision. Gomes is very tough. Like I said, she's hard to get out of there. Her last fight, I mean, she fought Luka Bunmi, and she's been looking very, very good. That's a very good loss for her and good experience. So, um, yeah, give me Bruna by decision. Bets I would stay away from. Like I said, staying away from the money lines here, unless you like Gomes. Dog or pass here. Overs, I like the overs. I think both girls will go, but that's still a little dicey because maybe Gomes breaks her in the second round or third round or something. So maybe a stay away here because they're both kind of newer UFC fighters. So it's always okay to pass on a fight and see more information with both these fighters. I need to take that knowledge. I'm saying it now because I'm going to implement that knowledge that I just said out of my mouth and put it into this card. All right, next one, Lando Vannata versus Daniel Zellhuber. Vannata is 12-6-2, 31 years old, 5'9" with a 71-inch reach, and Zellhuber is 12-1, 23 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. So Vannata is an explosive striker. He does all those little spinning attacks and flying knees and elbows, all that good stuff. He's a pretty tough guy and durable on the feet. He likes to push forward, likes to get in brawls. Um, he does have some wrestling he can use, but if his opponents can out grapple him, so I think he'll be okay in this fight. But he does have wrestling he can use and take his takedowns are pretty decent. But he does like the fight to stand on the feet. He doesn't really like to go for wrestling unless he has to. Zellhuber, though, is a very good striker with good power, good boxing, very quick combos, 1-2s down the middle, good straights. He keeps his range very well. In his last fight, I know he fought Trey Ogden, which I don't know if that was the best Trey Ogden's ever fought in his life, or if that was the worst fight that Zellhuber fought in his life, or maybe a combination of both. But it did not look like Zellhuber would like you would think Zellhuber would look like. He just didn't throw his hands at all. He was very low volume. It just looked very weird. I don't know if it was UFC jitters. That was his UFC debut, but I don't think that's going to happen again here. He's going to have to fight this fight. Vannata's going to come at him, and if he doesn't, he's going to get maybe knocked out this time because Vannata Lando does not give a crap about getting hit. So this is going to be a fun fight, though. I'm going to go with Zellhuber. I know this is a pick'em line, pretty close to it. I just think he's the better overall fighter. He's gonna be taller, he's gonna be longer, he's gonna have a, 4-inch height advantage and a 6-inch reach advantage, so it's gonna be very key on the feet, and even if Vannata tries to use some of that wrestling, Zellhuber's takedown defense is pretty good too, so and the only way I see Vannata winning this one is if Zellhuber kinda does the same thing that he did with Trey Ogden, just kinda low volume, afraid to throw his hands, and then Vannata either gets takedowns and or outstrikes him, which I just don't see that happening again, and if it does, it does, but for my pick, I'm gonna go with Zellhuber to win it, and I'm gonna say this goes to decision. Lando is pretty tough on the feet. He gets a lot of his losses if he's finished, have been by submission. Yeah, he's never lost by KO. He's lost 2 times by submission and 4 times by decision. So, give me Zellhuber here by decision. Bets, I would maybe look at the money lines, whichever side you like. I think those are be good values. It's basically a pick 'em. I do think Zellhuber, you will get better value with Zellhuber right now, anyways. Maybe look at the overs, like I said, because both guys are pretty tough, but this could be one where either you like one side or the other for money line, and if you don't, stay away. I'm not too crazy about the overs, but that's something I may look at. Next fight here is Pereira Rodriguez versus Jillian Robertson. Rodriguez is 9-0, 30 years old, 5'3", with a 63-inch reach. And Jillian is 11-7, 27 years old, 5'5", with a 63-inch reach. So Rodriguez is a solid striker with some power in her hands. She likes to push forward. She's very tough, durable. She's strong in the clinch. She does have some good takedowns when she goes for when she uses her wrestling, but she has a tough time keeping her opponents down on the mat when she gets those takedowns. And if that does happen, she does kind of fade as the fight goes on. We've seen her I think it was in the um not the Sam Hughes fight. I want to say it was in the Contender Series. She was getting those takedowns, but she was you could see her fading and fading and fading. She doesn't really have the wrestling cardio for 3 rounds, but she does have that in her back pocket. She can be hittable at times on the feet too, maybe if she starts slowing down. Robertson's a very, very good grappler. We all know that. She's got very good submissions. We all know that. Her striking is just okay. She's very hittable at times as well against very good strikers. She has a very tough time getting those takedowns though that she needs to get the grappling going. So I don't want to say as bad as Mackenzie Dern, but up there with Mackenzie Dern level. Very like as in a very good BJJ artist with very good submissions, but she can never get the fight to the mat to implement those. But she's very tough and she has good cardio too. So she does if she can't get the takedown, she'll stay in there and fight for your money. But here's another close fight. And I'll admit, I'm a Jillian fan. But I've seen this before. She's fought these kinds of fighters before and she struggles. Rodriguez is going to be the better striker on the feet for sure. And if she can keep this fight on the feet, Rodriguez, I think she could win this one fairly easily, but she's gonna need to fight a perfect fight because one little hiccup or mishap, even on the feet, where Jillian can jump on the back, it's gonna be trouble. Um, but yeah, and another thing to point out too is Jillian is going down from flyweight to strawweight. So she hasn't fought at strawweight in a long time. I think only in the UFC she's fought at flyweight. So it's been a while for that. That's something to think about if you're betting on Jillian. I know it didn't really matter with Cynthia last week when she went down the strawweight, but I always think it's something for their first fight. It's always something to look at too. But for my pick, It's very close. This is a 50-50 fight for me, and even the lines say this one. I'm gonna go with my initial gut pick. Ugh, I'm gonna say Rodriguez. I'm still debating, but I'm gonna ever so slightly lean Rodriguez. Like I said, I've seen this before with Jillian. She's fought these kinds of fighters, and you think that she should win this fight, like hands down, like get this, but she has trouble with fighters like Rodriguez. And Jillian is fighting, and when she's winning, she's beating fighters who have 0 takedown defense and 0 grappling defense, as in Cachoeira. No ground game whatsoever, and she destroyed her. Maria Agapova, 0 ground game and destroyed her. JJ Aldridge, good takedowns defense, and JJ destroyed her. Miranda Maverick, solid takedown defense. I do think Jillian took her down once and held her control in for 1 round, but Maverick had 2 solid rounds and pretty much dominated those 2 rounds too. And then I'm not gonna even say Talia Santos because Talia Santos is a beast. So give me Rodriguez here. Very close fight. I'm gonna say by decision. I think she holds out and she keeps the fight standing. Bets though, maybe look at the money lines. I know Jillian was a big favorite. Now it's close to a pick 'em. And I'm sorry, Jillian was a big underdog. Now it's close to a pick 'em. So if you got that early plus 140 underdog price on Jillian, that's a good bet. That's a good value. Think I'm just gonna stay away from this fight. Like I said, I don't want to get burned again with Jillian. Like I'm a fan of hers and I bet on her in a few of those fights and she lost. So yeah, I'm just gonna stay away from that one. This will be a fun fight to see what she can do here. Both girls. Next fight, which is going to be the people's main event, I'm going to say on MMA Twitter because this fight is insane. Ed Herman versus Zach Cummins. Ed Herman is 24 and 15, 42 years old, 6'1, with a 75-inch reach. And Zach is 24 and 7, 38 years old, 6 foot, 75-inch reach. A little something to think or note. um, he usually fights at middleweight, Zach, and he's coming up to 205. So that could be a big step up. Yeah, his last fight was at middleweight against Alessio de Cariccio, whatever you say that. So we'll get into this here. Herman, he's I guess you could say he's well rounded. He's got okay striking and grappling. He's over 40 years old now, though, and is in his last fight, ugh, against Alonzo Menifield, when you go back and watch that, that was a doozy. I don't know. His cardio really isn't there. He can be hittable. Takedown defense isn't that great. He doesn't really seem like he wants to be in the octagon after like 1 round. Like after that, if he doesn't get the first round finish, he's like, I don't even want to be here. Yeah, and his last fight was about a year and a half ago. So who knows what he's been doing then? Zach, okay striker. He's got some power in his hands. He's not very technical with his striking, though. He can wrestle and get takedowns, but he can be hittable. He's 38 years old now. It's not much better than 42. And his last fight was 2.5 years ago. So I think I did see on Twitter that he has had some injuries, and I don't know if that was maybe part of the thing why he hasn't fought in 2.5 years. But yeah, this is just gonna be a weird, sloppy fight. I think after if this fight gets out of the first round, it's gonna be so sloppy for the next 2 rounds. But I guess I'm gonna have to go with Zach Cummings to win. I'm staying far away from this fight. No bets whatsoever. Because this fight, literally anything can happen, and I don't trust either guy whatsoever. The only reason why I'm picking Zach Cummings, though, is he's a little bit younger. Um, and I'm just not impressed with Ed Herman at this stage in his career. And I don't want to say the R word for Ed Herman, but after maybe he loses this fight, this could be his last. And he's not looking that great his last couple fights. And I know he won recently against Mike Rodriguez, but that was a sketchy fight. If you remember what happened, if you don't, you should go watch and see what happened in that fight. I totally remembered it when I saw that. So, yeah, this is a weird one. Give me Zach Cummings to win by decision. I'm gonna say this fight does go all 3 rounds because they're gonna be too gassed to get it done, either guy. So, staying away from this fight for bets. Just don't bet this fight, guys. This could be fight of the night. Probably my favorite fight of the night. Brandon Royval versus Mateus Nicolau. Royval is 14 and 6, 30 years old, 5'9", with a 70.5-inch reach. Nicolau, 19-2 and 1, 30 years old, 5'6", with a 66-inch reach. So Royval will have a little bit of height, little bit of reach advantage, but Royval is very, very dangerous. Very explosive striking. It's got spinning elbows, all that good stuff. Very good submissions. He can get rocked at times on the feet when he gets a little too aggressive, if you want to say. He leaves himself open for counters. Um, so that's a little worrisome with especially in this matchup. And his takedown defense isn't good at all, but I think he almost accepts being taken down because so he can get it, he can try to get his grappling going because he's very dangerous on the mat. I would say more so dangerous on the mat than he is on the feet. Nicolau is a very good technical striker. He does have some power in his hands, good wrestling and grappling. He does prefer to keep the fight on the feet, but like I said, he can wrestle and grapple very well. Good takedown defense, very good takedown defense. Sometimes he can lull his opponents to sleep a little bit just by going around the outside of the cage. And I know a lot of people think he's a very boring fighter, if you want to say, but I think he's very good, very technical. He takes his time. He picks and chooses when to jump in and out of the pocket. He lands like 1-2 combos and then jumps back out of range. Like, he's very quick on his feet when he does that. And very good counters, I think, if I didn't say that. He has good counters too. So, very, 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 very fun fight. And I'm gonna say this. I think this isn't the only time I will say this again. I'm a Royval fan. I like him as a fighter. I think he's very entertaining. He's one of my favorite fighters to watch. But I think Nicolau is gonna win this fight, unfortunately. I just think he's too technically sound for Royval. He does Mateus doesn't make a lot of mistakes, and that's what Royval does. He capitalizes on an opponent's making mistakes. He gets those guillotines, he gets those spinning attacks. Nicolau's good everywhere. He's very good. He's very well rounded everywhere in this fight. Um, it's just going to be a difficult task for Royval. I think he has to get a finish to win this fight. Otherwise, Nicolau is going to get a decision win. He's going to be able to outstrike him. I think he'll maybe even knock down Royval once in this fight. He's going to be able to outstrike Royval, I think, as well. He's going to land the better shots. And like I said, if he wants to go for takedowns, he can get the takedowns. And Royval's takedown defense, like I said, is not good. It's like under 40%. So yeah, give me Nicolau here. I wouldn't be shocked if even Nicolau can get like a finish, like a when Royval's trying to come in for either like a crazy attack or maybe shoot for a takedown, and then maybe Nicolau gets like an elbow or something like that, and he gets a knockout. But I'm gonna say Nicolau wins this one by decision. I don't want to say Royval is a killer be killed fighter, but he's very finish dependent, and he doesn't win a lot of decisions. I know he beat Bontarin, but very dicey fight. I think the judges, I don't wanna say gifted him one, but yep. But he has fought the better competition, though. He's fought a lot of killers, but Nicolau is that good, though. I think he should be up there with the top 5 too. So, that's here. I like Nicolau money line. I think it's about, yeah, minus 165 range, which I've seen. The under 2.5, maybe if you're on the Royval side and you just wanna be a little bit safe. I think I might stay away from the overs in this fight. I think anything can happen. Royval at plus money is never a bad bet, but I just think it's a very tough task for him in this fight to win this one. All right. Next fight, we got TJ Brown versus Bill Algeo. Brown is 17 and 9, 32 years old, 5'9", with a 73.5-inch reach. And Algeo is 16 and 7, 33 years old, 6 foot with a 73-inch reach. So Brown I mean, you could say he's a well-rounded fighter. He has pretty solid striking, pretty good wrestling and takedowns. He likes to set a pace early, likes to push forward. He likes to go for those takedowns early and tries to out grapple his opponents, at least as of late. But the thing about it, though, he's not the greatest grappler once he gets his fight to the mat. He gets reversed a lot. He doesn't really transition well. His submission attempts aren't the greatest. He does have pretty good cardio, though, and he's pretty tough. But I don't want to say he lacks the fight IQ, but in this fight, Bill Algeo will have the better fight IQ for sure. But Algeo is a very tricky striker on the feet. He's very quick. He likes to move and move a lot, circle around the cage a lot. Good kicks. Very, very good grappler with good reversals and transitions on the mat. Very good submissions as well. Solid wrestling and takedowns, and he has good cardio too. So this is one of the bets that I really, really like here in picks. I am all over Algeo here. Algeo is one of those fighters where he's going to fight for your money for every minute that he has to. He's never going to back down and give up. And Brown is tough, and he might be the stronger guy in the wrestling department. But Algeo's going to, like I said, Algeo, I think is going to have the better fight IQ for sure. And other than the wrestling department, maybe in the strength with for TJ Brown, I think Algeo has him covered everywhere. So I'm not scared if Brown gets Algeo down. I think that's actually going to be a bad thing for him. So with my pick, give me Algeo. I'm gonna say he wins this one by I'm gonna say decision. But like I said, Brown's pretty tough. I don't think he's been submitted too much. He lost to Nerdum Becky, which is another thing. Nerdum Becky was getting reversals from TJ Brown when TJ Brown would take him down. And Nerdum Becky was getting out of submissions that Brown had him in that he looked like he was gonna get the submission. So yeah, Brown's pretty tough. He doesn't really get he goes to decision a lot. I mean, I know he got the arm triangle against Eric Silva in his last fight, but Eric Silva gassed. He gassed out completely. So Algeo's not gonna gas out. For the bets though, like I said, all over Algeo money line, minus 160. That's a perfect bet. You can look at the overs here too. I think that's another good bet you could do. I'm just on Algeo train here. Main card, Clay Guida versus Rafa Garcia. Guida is 38 and 22, 41 years old, 5'7", with a 70-inch reach. And Garcia is 15 and 3, 28 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach. So we all know Guida. He's a national treasure for the UFC. Love this guy. I'm a big fan. He's great cardio. He likes to set a good pace early. Okay on the feet. He does have power in his hands though if he lands, but he can be very hittable and very predictable on the feet if you wanna say. Likes to shoot for those takedowns early and often and get this fight to the mat. But he doesn't really have the greatest top control in keeping his opponents down in the mat. If he gets them taken down. Garcia, though, he's very I think he's well-rounded, very I almost said very well-rounded, sorry. He's well-rounded. He's got solid striking with power, good boxing, good leg kicks, good takedowns and wrestling, very good grappling, I think, very underrated. You wouldn't think that he would have good grappling, but he does, and very good submissions with good cardio. He's a dog as well. So these 2 guys are dogs, and they're gonna fight this one out. I think this is gonna be a very fun fight. But again, I know I said this earlier, I'm a Guido fan, but gotta go with Garcia here. I think he's definitely the younger guy. He's the more well-rounded guy, especially on the feet. He's gonna have the huge advantage, and I think he's gonna have the advantage in the grappling department too. Guida's been submitted tons of times in his career. He's lost 11 times by submission. So remember that what I just said. He lost 11 times out of his 22 losses by submission. And I really think Garcia will be able to get a submission in this fight. Whether Guida takes him down or tries to, and maybe he wraps up like a guillotine, or maybe Garcia gets a takedown of his own because Guida's takedown defense isn't that great. And then maybe Garcia takes the back and gets the rear naked choke. Clay Guida's submission defense is no bueno. So I like Garcia here a lot. I think he gets it done later in the fight. I'll say late second round, maybe even first round, actually, depending on what happens. So for the bets, though, I mean, minus 225. I think it's a little bit lower than that, maybe around minus 200. It doesn't really scream out to me. It's a good line, but I think it's decent enough to play. Maybe look at maybe Rafa by inside the distance. If you don't want to pay the minus 200, it'll probably close to be it'll be close to plus 100 range. But I like Garcia in this fight. I would stay away from the over and unders here. It's very tricky. I could see Garcia getting a finish, or I can see this one going to decision. But I still think Garcia gets it done either way. Next one, Pedro Munhoz versus Chris Gutierrez. Munhoz is 19 and 7, 36 years old, 5'6", with a 65-inch reach. Gutierrez is 19, 3 and 2, 31 years old, 5'9", with a 67-inch reach. So Munhoz, solid striker with very good leg kicks, throws a high volume. He likes to push forward. He can be hittable. Actually, he is pretty hittable. Let's put it that way. But he's super tough, good cardio. He does have some wrestling he can use, but he mainly likes to keep it on the feet unless it's his only thing he can do is wrestle. But Gutierrez, he's a solid striker himself, very good leg kicks too. I think he's a little bit more explosive than Pedro, a little bit more dangerous on the feet. I think he's a little bit quicker with his hands. Good takedown defense, and he does throw high volume as well, just like Pedro. I think this is going to be a crazy striking fight, but again, I'm on Gutierrez here a lot. I like him. I think he's gonna get this one done. I think Gutierrez is on his way up when Pedro is kind of on his way down. He's 36 years old right now. I know he's been fighting really, really, really good guys, but he's not winning those fights. And then he lost to Frankie Edgar, but then again, this was a shell of Frankie Edgar, so I don't want to give him a crazy amount of credit on this fight. But I think Gutierrez gets it done. I just think it's gonna be a very close fight with the striking. Munoz's striking defense just isn't the greatest, and I think he's gonna be able to get outstruck by Gutierrez, and Gutierrez will win a close decision. So, I'm gonna go with Gutierrez to win by decision again. Plays or bets to do the overs. I love the overs in this fight. Both guys are super tough. Gutierrez money line, I think, is not bad for a parlay piece. But yeah, that's about it for this one. Next one, Ian Cutelaba versus Tanner Boser. Interesting fight here. Cutelaba is 16, 9 and 1, 29 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach, and Tanner Boser is 29 and 1, 31 years old, 6'2", 75.5-inch reach. So Cutelaba is very explosive for about 2 or 3 minutes in the first round. Um, Crazy takedowns. He goes for it. He does not care if he gets hit or not. But if he does get those takedowns, he doesn't really control his opponents on the mat. So he's not the most technical striker on the feet, but he does have power in his hands if he lands. And his chin and fight IQ is a little suspect. So gotta think about that. He's kind of a kill or be killed fighter. So I think in every one of his losses, he's been knocked out or submitted. And lately, and it's just not a good look. Boser, though, this is going to be his first fight coming down from heavyweight. And I did see it on Twitter or Instagram. I think it might have been Twitter that he's been looking pretty decent, actually. Like he's really in shape. So he's really taking this cut or move down serious. So Boser, though, solid striker, very technical striking, boxing, good power in his hands. His takedown defense isn't the greatest, but he also was fighting at heavyweight, and he's always been a smaller heavyweight. And those guys that he's getting takedowns from are like 40 pounds heavier, maybe 30 pounds heavier. So think of it that way. But he's very tough and he has good cardio for 3 rounds. But for my pick, though, I'm going to go Bozer. I can't trust Cutelaba whatsoever. Boser moving down to light heavyweight is a little bit of a red flag, but like I said, saw on Instagram or Twitter that he's looking like he's in good shape. So I'm not too worried, but if you want to be super safe, look at him on the scales and see how he looks. But I think Boser's gonna get the knockout. I think he'll survive the early onslaught that a lot of people do against Cutelaba. And then Cutelaba's gonna start to gas out a bit, and then he's gonna leave his chin open, and Boser's gonna pick him apart until he gets that knockout, maybe in the early second round. But that's how I see this one happening. I just can't trust Cutelaba right now. I do know when this line dropped, Boser was a pretty decent favorite. Now he's an underdog. I don't really know why. Maybe it's because of the drop down in light heavyweight. I thought that would be about right. I think it was -150 range where he dropped. Now it's like completely flipped. So to me, that's a little weird. For my bets though, I think Boser money line at plus money is a good bet. The unders I think are a really good bet too because, like I said, Kutalaba is dangerous. Even if you don't trust him, he is dangerous. He can get the knockout here too, or maybe some kind of sneaky little submission. But let me see how many submissions he's had 2 submissions in his career. But look how many times he's getting finished. Let's see, 7 out of 9 times he's getting finished out of his losses. So yeah, give me Bozer. I'm gonna say knockout in the second round. Should be a fun fight though, for however long it lasts. Next one, Justin Jacoby versus Azmat Murzakanov. Jacoby is 18, 6 and 1, 35 years old, 6'3 with a 78-inch reach. And Azmat is 12 and 0, 34 years old, 5'10 with a 71-inch reach. He's kind of a smaller light heavyweight. Should probably be a welterweight. But that's not what we're breaking down. Jacoby is a very good kickboxer, solid power in his hands. I wouldn't say he has like one touch knockout power, even though he did l- knock out Jung pretty good, but um normally that doesn't happen. He's got very good kicks. His cardio is pretty good, but he does slow down in the third rounds. Like there's been multiple fights where I don't want to say he's like surviving, but you can tell he's definitely not as fresh as he was in the first and second round, pretty convincingly. Takedown defense isn't the greatest, but I think he should be okay in this fight. Um, Azamat does have some wrestling he can use though, but he's a very solid striker himself. He's got lots of power, has some explosive KOs on his resume, flying knees, good ground and pound from knockout from when he fought Devin Clark. And then this one I was talking about with the flying knee, he was losing that whole fight because I put a bet on Tafon actually, and he was winning until the last round, until the that whole fight when Tafon's corner basically said, "Go out and get the finish," when he clearly won the first 2 rounds and he got clipped. Unfortunate, but it is what it is. Um, He also starts to fade as the fight goes on too, so I think he fades a little bit quicker than Jacoby, like, maybe after a round and a half, he starts to fade. Jacoby starts to fade in the 3rd round. A very interesting fight here. I do think this is gonna be close. A lot of Jacoby fights are close. Um, but I'm gonna ever so slightly lean Jacoby here. I think he gets it done. He's gonna be a little bit taller, a little bit longer. Um, he's got a 5-inch height advantage and a 7-inch reach advantage. And Jacoby's very good at keeping his range with a kickboxing range. He should be able to land some leg kicks and slow down Azamat here. So I'm gonna say he goes to decision. It's normally how Jacoby fights go. But for my bets, I mean, Jacoby money line isn't too bad. The over, maybe, if you like the over, but something to think about. But give me Jacoby by decision. Co-main event should be a fun one. Edson Barboza versus Billy Q. Barboza is 22 and 11 now, 37 years old, 5'11 with a 75-inch reach. Billy Q, 17 and 4, 34 years old, 5'10 with a 70-inch reach. So Barboza, we all know, is a good striker. Very crazy, powerful leg kicks, kicks in general. It's got a lot of spinning kick knockouts. Okay, takedown defense and grappling if it does get to the mat, but he definitely wants to keep this fight on the feet. Got good power, like I said, but he's 37 years old. He's shown that he starts to slow down after 1.5 rounds or somewhere around there. And Billy Q, I would say he's a well-rounded fighter. He's got solid striking and grappling. His wrestling is a little takedowns are a little lackluster, if you want to say. He's got good submission ability, okay power on the feet, great cardio, very tough. And it seems like he gets stronger as the fight goes on, which is always a good thing to have in his back pocket. And this should be another fun fight. But I'm gonna go with Billy Q to get it done like he always does. I think the first round may be a little dicey for him. Maybe Barboza lands a couple good shots, maybe beats up the leg a little bit. But after that first round, Edson's gonna start to slow down, and Billy Q's gonna start to ramp it up like he did in his last fight against Alex Hernandez. I think it's gonna be I don't wanna say exactly the same, but something along those lines. I do think Billy Q is gonna get the finish here. I'm gonna say he gets it done in the 3rd round by submission. Maybe he takes, Edson's back just from there standing up against the cage. Maybe he jumps on it and then he gets a submission after Edson's just a little bit gassed and makes a little bit of mistake there. Um, for the bets though, Billy Q money line, I think it's solid just in case if unders maybe live bet Billy Q after the first round so you can get some plus money. More than likely he loses the first rounds all the time. But Billy Q by submission, 3rd round. That's what I'm gonna go with. I think he gets it done. Barboza has lost twice by submission and 4 times by knockout. So he's a pretty tough guy, but as of late, I just think it's just not the normal Edson Barboza, unfortunately. Main event time. This is going to be a good one. Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Holloway is 23 and 7, 31 years old, 5'11 with a 69-inch reach. Allen is 19 and 1, 29 years old, 5'8 with a 70-inch reach. All right, I'm ready. Holloway, though, very good striker, very good boxer. He's very tough, high volume, very good takedown defense. Cardio is insane. He's fought basically 5 rounds for the last 5 years, if you want to say, maybe even longer. Um, his only little bugaboo is he just can't beat Dustin Poirier and he can't beat Volkanovski. Like those are his two bugaboo fighters. Uh, Arnold Allen, though, he's a well-rounded fighter. He's got good striking, good power in his hands. He's got solid wrestling and grappling. But we have seen in some of his fights, not as of late, because I don't think they've gone too long. Yeah, I think that went to the second round. I think that was in the first round. But he showed that he slows down in the second round or in third rounds. Like Sadiq Yusuf fight, he showed that this is gonna be a 5-round fight, so everyone remember that. He does slow down a little bit, but lately we haven't got to see that because he's been knocking people out, and then the unfortunate Cater injury that happened there. Um, Either way, though, this is gonna be a very fun fight to watch, and I do think Holloway is going to win this one. He's gonna be a little bit too much for him. Maybe Arnold Allen looks really good in the first round and maybe wins the first round. Holloway's never been knocked out. He's never been knocked down. He doesn't need to get up again. You're never gonna get Holloway down. Okay. So that's the one thing that I see here. Holloway is just too tough and durable. His cardio is too good. His volume is gonna be too much for Arnold Allen after this maybe round and a half, 2 rounds. And I think Holloway wins this one by decision. I think 49-46, 48-47, maybe Allen wins the first 2 rounds, but Holloway is gonna win rounds 4 and 5. And especially, not especially, but maybe Holloway can even get a late 4th or 5th round knockout because we don't know if Arnold can even make it to the 4th or 5th round. So that's the one one of the biggest reasons why I think Holloway is gonna win is I just don't think Arnold's cardio is gonna be able to hold up for 5 rounds. For bets though, overs, I wouldn't go anything more than, like, over 2.5. Holloway money line, I think, is decently priced right now at -170 if you can get that. If it gets to -200, I think that's maybe where I would stop. I don't think I would do anything more crazy than that. Arnold Allen is a good dog if you think so, but I would maybe do inside the distance, but that's even I just don't see how he wins this fight. Let's put it that way. I don't see Arnold Allen winning a decision, and Holloway's only been finished once in his career, and it's been by submission, so I don't see that happening either. So it's gonna be a very, very fun fight, but give me Max Holloway by decision. But all right, guys, those are my picks and predictions for UFC Kansas City Holloway versus Allen. Thank you everybody for watching. Be sure to check me and Blood Money's Thursday night live show. That's going to be this week, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern time, like we do every week. Also, before you leave, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't. Also, leave a comment below on your favorite picks, your favorite bets on this card. You can tell me if my picks are bad. You could tell me if my picks are good. If you agree, that's also I'm cool with it. Hope everybody enjoys the fights this weekend. Hopefully, it's as good as the pay per view was. And until next time, happy fight night.